welcome back to our kitchen. So it's 7 o'clock, and of course we came home from church. I did a quick video on just some home tips and how to get everything squared away when you come home from a main grocery shop. And it's day 8 of the Pantry Challenge, and for lunch I actually filmed lunch, but for some reason it did not take on Facebook Live today, so you didn't get to see that. But I did cinnamon rolls, breakfast sausage, eggs, and grits because I had that in my pantry. But tonight, what we're doing for dinner is I'm doing a couple of things, and I'm always doing a couple of things. Y'all pray for me that the Lord will slow a sister down. It'd be a struggle sometimes. But I'm doing some make-ahead meals, and I'm actually going to be doing some, what is it? Honey mustard chicken. Sorry. Honey mustard chicken. My brain was not thinking for a minute. My sister sent me a video a couple of days ago just on some make-ahead meals because sometimes I don't eat during the day because I'm just so busy at school. And she's like, hey, this is quick. It's easy. So what they had was chicken. They had brown rice and some veggies going on. Now I can do some veggies because on Weight Watchers, veggies are free. So I'm going to do some bacon wrapped cabbage steaks. I've already prepped my cabbage. I had this in the fridge, so I need to go ahead and use it. I probably have had this in there for a minute. So I need to go ahead and use this. And over here, I actually have a half of a sweet potato. I probably should have did the whole. No, I did a whole sweet potato. I have 2 of them. I probably should have done 2. And what I did was I diced the sweet potato, and then I had some Brussels sprouts from my freezer. And what I did was I just microwaved them for the 5 minutes, and then I cut them in half, and I laid them on this baking sheet. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my chicken, and I'm going to put it on this sheet right here. So let me grab my chicken. I had chicken drumsticks from the freezer as well. So what I did, and let me just talk about chicken for a second. I have seen quite a few people. This is a personal choice. This is very personal to me. I see quite a few people that just take their chicken out of the package and then do something to it. It's my personal opinion that we really need to at least wash the chicken off. But if you're doing something with skin on it, if you pull the skin back, there's a lot of membranes, and sometimes there's fat and stuff in here. So what I usually or generally do is I just go ahead and pull all that off, and then that at least gives you none of that fatty stuff underneath your chicken. I don't want to eat all that when I'm eating chicken. So I have washed this and pulled all the slime off, and I'm going to lay this on a greased baking sheet. And I tried to pat it dry because I don't see this, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not something I prefer to eat. So I will pull that off, and I will wash my hands when I'm done doing this. So my preference is to go ahead and to pull all that slime off, especially when you're doing like chicken breasts and stuff, and even thighs. Thighs you have to clean a whole lot more than what you might normally see people do. So anyway, I've got my oven preheated to 425 degrees. I'm going to put everything in on for 25 minutes. And what I'm actually going to do, in addition to just laying my chicken there, I'm actually going to cut a hole in the chicken. So I'm just going to poke a hole in the middle of the chicken because I actually want it to cook through, and I want it to cook through quicker. So because it is late already, and what I did was I just took a knife and I'm piercing through down at the bone so that my knife comes out on the other side, and it makes a little bit of a hole in there. And then when it's cooking, it's going to cook all the way through the chicken. That's a personal thing as well. You don't have to do that, but it does help to cook through this chicken drumstick, which is a little bit thicker at the top. Okay. Let me wash my hands really quickly. I'm going to remove my trash. Hands all washed, and I actually think I'm going to pull my tongs over so I'm not cross-contaminating anything in my kitchen. Hands are clean. I've got my chicken here, and I'm simply just going to salt. Now, normally I would probably do this in a Ziploc freezer bag, a gallon freezer bag. Just do all the seasonings on it, and then just put it here from the bag, which would probably be the easier thing. This is a little bit of onion powder. A little bit of garlic powder. And then a little bit of the cracked black pepper. And you want to season both sides of the chicken. So once you get your chicken seasoned, and the video my sister sent, I can't remember the name of it, but it recommended that you put olive oil on top of this. I'm actually just going to spray it with my cooking spray because I am trying to not consume a lot of calories. Even though just a sprinkle of olive oil probably won't give me too many calories, I still just don't want to take that chance. So I'm simply just going to flip over that chicken so that it's getting coated on both sides. Make friends with your chicken. It's like chickens in love. They make friends with each other. You share your seasoning, I'll share my seasoning. Okay. I absolutely love to be in the kitchen. Makes me happy. My chickens are pretty happy too. I cooked some chicken brothers last week. Maybe it was the week before. It was 2 twin chickens. They were awesome though. Very good sports. They let us eat them. Okay. So this is all coated. What is wrong with my... Oh, every other, just so it can cook evenly, right? So every other. Hold that contaminated thing in my hand. Spray that with a little bit of cooking spray. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that in the oven. This is 425 degrees, already preheated, just while I finish the rest of my veggies. I'm going to spray my veggies here. I'm going to probably put a little bit of cinnamon on the cabbage. And what I want to do is try to cut these in about 1 inch thick steaks. And I want to try to keep them together. I took the core out so it doesn't hold up as well when you pull the cores out. But I just like doing that so I'm not trying to eat around the core. So I've cut those in about 1 inch, slices. With the core in, it does stay together a whole lot better. So if you're not keen on cutting up your cabbage, you can just leave your core in. I did remove the outer leaves of the cabbage because they really just tend to burn. Cabbage is 0 points on Weight Watchers. I think 3 slices of bacon is like 6 points or something like that, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to move my large pan over, and what I did on this pan was I simply sprayed it down. I'm going to take one of my cabbage steaks, just one, and I'm just going to take it and wrap it in this bacon. And if it seems to be too long or too much, you can cut it. It's probably one of the ways to maximize your bacon, is to cut it in half. Or if you have smaller pieces that don't need a full slice of bacon, you can actually save it for that, for those pieces, which you will have some at the end. One whole cabbage would probably make several meals, because we do like to have at least 2 to 3 cabbage steaks at a time because they're small. This is just a side dish. I already have in the oven my I'm doing honey mustard chicken. honey mustard chicken is already in the oven, 425. And we're going to see if that's enough time. It may not be. Normally what I would do, or the recipe calls for sauteing it in the fry pan first and then putting the sauce on it. But I'm going to try to go this route because I had multiple things that I needed to get in the oven at the same time. And so what I'm doing is I'm just wrapping them with bacon. I'm going to season these at the end. And of course you use whatever seasoning that you like. Now this is one of the things that happens when you pull the core out. It doesn't like to stay together. So you kind of got to jimmy rig your cabbage to, you kind of got to grab it. And then that's when you take your bacon. And that kind of just is like your tie together. Now this is a sad piece of bacon. So this particular cabbage will get some more bacon love. Because we're going to give it another slice of bacon, because that was just a little tragic right there. I agree that it was tragic, and I did it. But that's okay, because there's more bacon love right here. And then usually what I do is I'll just take whatever bacon I have, and if I run out of bacon before I run out of cabbage, then you can totally cook the cabbage without bacon. This just gives it a little bit more flavor. And for me, if I don't have some type of fats or some type of, because I'm not doing carbs, I tend to be a little bit less, I don't have as much energy. So I do try to give myself some type of a protein source every day, at least one. I don't make it a habit to do bacon all the time. But I do like it with bacon. And it helps with the cooking process. It helps give it a flavor. So it's just a personal preference. You do not have to use the bacon at all. Now my kids were telling my sister earlier about the sauce. They were saying, oh, Mom makes this great sauce, but it really smells bad, but it tastes good. And I make a honey balsamic vinegar sauce, a reduction. And all you do is you take about half a cup of balsamic vinegar, 2 tablespoons of honey, and you reduce that to about half. And after this is done, then you just drizzle it over, and it tastes really, really good. So if you can deal with the smell, and the only thing about doing the reduction is don't let it overcook, and don't cook it too high or too fast, because it will go all over your stove. Do not ask me how I know these types of things. Right. So I'm just doing the wedges again. And again, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. Just depends on how quickly you want to cook them. We are putting this in a 425 degree oven. There's a pretty thick core in there, so I'm going to pull that out just because that may not cook at the right amount of time. So I'm just pulling that out. I actually had another friend tell me that she was really glad that I had shown these, because she actually ended up making them for her family, and they really, really liked them. I just happened to be on YouTube one day, right, go figure, right, on YouTube, and just happened to see this. I don't know if I was looking for low-carb meals or whatever I was looking for, and I found them, and I really just liked them. And my kids didn't think they would like them either, but they actually will eat more than I will eat. And the sauce is sweet, so if you don't want a sweet sauce, you can do it without the honey. And I actually got the honey balsamic vinegar, but you can just get the regular. Or put whatever sauce on it that you really like. And that's, again, just a personal choice. I saw it with regular balsamic vinegar, and I like a little bit of sweet. So I did the honey. I just thought, hey, this might be good, and did it that way. So my pan is getting real full. So, and I thought I had an extra pan, and I don't. So I'm going to just finish wrapping these, and then I'll just save some to do after these are done, which is totally fine. You can do these in batches, or, you know, however you want to do them. And then when I'm done, what I normally would do is I just put them in a bowl with a top, and throw them in the fridge, and I just kind of eat off of them a couple days at a time. You could probably actually freeze them and microwave them again if you like, and it works that way as well. And then when I have little scraps like this, if this is like the end of it, what I'll do is just pull as much of it together as I possibly can, because I want to get as much of the cabbage in there as I can. And then I just kind of make one out of the scraps, and then I'll toss it in. Now let me wash my hands real quick and show you how I'm going to put this in the oven. Slide over my cooking board for a second because I'm coming back to this. I'll finish up this one side of the cabbage in a second, but I do want to get this in the oven since it's ready to go. What I do now is I just season. So I take a little bit of my salt, and you must, if you don't use salt, then you won't miss it. But if you are, you like seasoned food, salt, and just enough. And I'm only salting 1/2, and then I'm going to just move them around. I'm not going to salt the other half. I'm just salting one. I'm just seasoning one side, and then I'm going to share the love. We're going to make some friends. Okay, make friends with your cabbage steaks. And these are small relatively. You can actually, if you keep your cabbage whole and you slice the cabbage straight down, leaving the core in, you can make them larger. Now in this pot, I'm just doing some brown rice because I'm going to do brown rice, a chicken leg, and a cabbage steak with some sweet potatoes, and that's going to be my meal for lunch. Not dinner, because I normally am cooking dinner pretty much every night, but I don't always get a chance to cook lunch for myself, or maybe I don't have the fixings for doing sandwiches. So what I'm trying to do is do a little bit of prep ahead. The only thing that I told my nutritionist that I have a problem with, and it's not really a problem, so I don't want to make it sound horrible, is when I prep meals for me, if you're a single person or you're the only person in your household that's doing meals ahead, it makes it easy. But I make this stuff that you don't think kids would like. I have a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they are on my food like, I mean, for real. So I'm prepping ahead for me, and it never really lasts because they just like it. And I'm like, well, I tried, did the best I could. They ate it all. So anyway, again, 3 of these cabbage steaks with 3 pieces of bacon is going to be about 6 Weight Watchers points, and I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to lay each piece on top of each other to make some friends, and we're going to get that other side seasoned really well. And I am going to put a little bit of olive oil on this just because it's going to help to cook it through and give it some great flavor as well. So you do want to make sure. The next thing I'm going to do really fast is I have some alfresco chicken sausage. This is the sweet and smoky barbecue that I had in my pantry. I had this in the freezer. So again, cooking challenge is to cook everything you have in your fridge or your freezer. I'm done with this for a second. I'm bringing this back over here. I wish I had 2 cutting boards. I probably need 2. My birthday's coming. Somebody make that happen in my life. Okay, 1 chicken sausage is 4 Weight Watchers points. My Brussels sprouts are 0 points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up the chicken sausage, which are already fully cooked, so it's not like they need it to be extra cooked. They're already fully cooked, but I just want to cook them through, right? So I'm just going to take these and lay them on top of my Brussels sprouts, right? Just like that. And I'm just cut the rest of these up and do the same. So I'm trying to get some good, healthy, nutritious meals. This is chicken sausage, not pork sausage. I had a coupon for this, so I'm not sure how long it's been in my freezer, but it is time to cook it because I've had it for quite a minute. And then, so 1 sausage is simply going to give me 4 points, and I'm okay with that. 32 points a day. And then you get 42 weekly points to work with if you need them extra. which I need somebody to talk me off the ledge because I really want a chocolate chip cookie. Where are my friends? Where are my friends that say you do not need a chocolate chip cookie? None of y'all. Because probably you want to see me cook them. I want to cook them. I want to eat them. I don't just want to cook them. I want to eat them. This would be the problem. These are our dilemmas. Okay. So let's see. And I'm trying to make sure like every little Brussels sprout has some sausage on there. I don't know that I seasoned any of these, but I'm going to do a little bit of seasoning with the onion powder. I'm going to do a little seasoning with the garlic powder. And thank you guys so much for tuning in if you're watching. We do appreciate it. And oh, hammers. Y'all, I just want to eat something. I didn't eat breakfast, and I've been weaning myself off of cream from my coffee, which was my little treat. Okay. And then just a little bit of cinnamon on my sweet potatoes. And I sprayed those previously with the cooking spray. Now, everything in the oven. So let's check. Here's our chicken, which we put in a few minutes earlier because I really wanted to make sure that the chicken was cooking through. Just salt, black pepper. See how when I put the hole in the middle of the chicken, it's actually helping to bring some of those juices out. And this is going to still cook for about 25 minutes. So this total cook time would be way more than 25 minutes, probably closer to 35 minutes. But I'm still just slow roasting it. Well, not slow, because the temperature is at 425. But it's still not being pan fried. So I think that's better. And then the cabbage steaks will go on the bottom. 25 minutes. And we'll check after that. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. Also doing some brown rice. So I did 5 cups of water, 2 cups of brown rice. And this is just a little bit of the liquid that's in there. I cut my stove down on low. Brown rice can cook too fast and still not be done. So you do want to make sure that your brown rice is done. Now, we're just cleaning up a little bit in our kitchen. I had 1 whole cabbage that I cut up in quarters, and then I wrapped them in the bacon. I did 1 thing of sausage, chicken sausage, that I cut in little cubes, little circlets, and I put them on top of the Brussels sprouts. This is the bacon I use for here, and I'm just cleaning up because I'm going to finish out this before the others come out, so that when they come out, I'm ready to go back in with the next batch. So I'm just going to finish chopping this, and you want to make sure that you're doing about 1/2 to 1 inch thick slices. I took the core out, so it's not gonna really want to hold together because I decored the cabbage. But I don't like cooking mine with the core in because I don't want to eat around it. I should work on that. And this is probably not even 1/4 of an inch. So between 1/2 to 1/4, just depends on how thick will determine the cook time. Alright, so I got a little parchment paper here. I'll just see if I can get these wrapped real quick, and then I can begin to clean my kitchen. I'm going to pull this core out. There's a thick core at the bottom of that, and I don't think anybody wants to eat that, so I'm just pulling that part out. And I'm just going to take the bacon, and again, open it and just wrap. Wrap it however you can get it around it. It's not like every piece has to have a piece of bacon in it, but it does give it flavor. It does help with the cooking. And it tastes yummy. So bacon is good. I don't eat bacon quite often, just every now and then, or when I do cabbage steaks. We do eat it at Christmas because it's a family favorite for Christmas meal. I make a brown sugar bacon. So I'm just prepping these so when the others come out, these are ready to go right back in. Ready to go in. You probably, here's an idea. Think about this, right? So we put our chicken in the oven. Could we do bacon wrapped chicken? You really could do that. I'm getting the face from my camera girl. She's like, really, Mom? This is an idea that it deserves some exploration. I really think it does. Anybody else out there think it does? Give me a thumbs up if you think it does. I think we should carefully consider the wrapping of the bacon and the chicken. Now with the scraps or what's left, I usually just try to make sure that I'll wrap this all the way around, because with some of these outside leaves, they like to burn more than they like to cook. So I'll try to get as much of that wrapped as I can. You know, that's just how I do it. Again, do what works best in your kitchen, and you know your family better than I do. If they wouldn't like the bacon, or you're not a pork family, you could definitely do turkey bacon. You could do no bacon. These bake up just fine without bacon. You probably, if you just like cabbage stir fry or cabbage fried, you could just do your bacon in a fry pan and put the cabbage in on top of that. But in that case, I would add in some onion and probably, I don't know that I would do green pepper or celery, but I would add in the bacon and some onion before I added in the cabbage. But you could fry it definitely, and I've seen people do it with peppers, onions, and all of that. We were doing the cook ahead meals, and my timer was supposed to go off in 25 minutes, but at 25 minutes what I realized is that my bacon was not done, so I actually put them back in for another 20 minutes. So it's kind of been about 45 minutes that I had everything in the oven. So I want to show you now what the bacon wrapped cabbage looks like when it's done. So if you can tell, the bacon is crisp, and what I did do is I turned these over at the 25-minute mark because I didn't want the bacon to get burned on one side. So that will crisp up your bacon on both sides. But if you can tell, the cabbage is wilted now. It's not the way it used to be. And see some of these outside pieces, how they tend to get a little bit more brown. So that's why I usually don't use those pieces. But anyway, this is a whole sheet pan full of bacon wrapped cabbage. In the oven, we have our chicken legs. And all I did was salt and pepper these. I washed them, cleaned them, salt and pepper, a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder. And what I'm going to do now is add a sauce. This is a honey mustard sauce. And I'll tell you how I made this. It's very simple. I use a 1/3 cup of half and half. This is a fat-free half and half that I got from Walmart. I used a 1.5 tablespoons of spicy brown mustard. It actually calls for Dijon, but I only had spicy brown, so I'm just going to use what I have. And then I did 2 tablespoons of honey. This is not necessarily in the recipe, but I added it. Again, I like a little bit sweet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to baste the chicken, and I'm actually going to put it back on the lower level. I'm going to baste this chicken. The oven is still on 425 degrees, and the chicken has been in here the whole time, but it has been on the top level. And I actually want to cook it all the way through, and I do want this mustard sauce. I did this on pork chops the other night, and it was really good. I found it on a Weight Watchers recipe. The pork chops, it was stuffed pork chops, and they were only 4 points for one and the stuffing. So I thought, hey, this was good on the pork chops. It'll probably be good on the chicken. I have turned this chicken over several times, so it has gotten brown on both sides throughout the 50 minutes that it's been in the oven. But it's been on the top rack. So again, this is just, this additional cooking time is just to get this sauce set. And if you don't like sauce, you don't have to have sauce. You can actually have that pretty plain with no problem. So what I'm going to do is simply move this to the bottom rack while I take out my other veggies. In just a few minutes, that's going to be done. Over here, what I have is the Brussels sprouts, and I cooked those in the microwave first, and I threw them on the sheet pan with the chicken sausage that we just were trying to get cooked through, and then a whole sweet potato that I baked. We also have the brown rice is finished. So if I were going to plate this for my lunch, this is pretty much how I would probably plate this as I'm making meals for my lunch. So I have one Glad bowl here. Let me do this. Right, so I'm going to take some of my brown rice. Probably just 2 spoonfuls of the brown rice would be plenty. That looks to be about 3/4 of a cup. So that's about a cup of rice, cup of brown rice. I would probably do two of the spinach, the cabbage and bacons. Then I would come over and do just a little bit of the Brussels sprouts and sausage. And some of the baked sweet potato. Now I would make 4 trays of this just to get me through, and I could alternate the Brussels sprouts and sausage with the chicken. So that is how I would do it for my lunches. So anyway, that's what we're doing. This is what we're going to be working on for the next couple of minutes to get my lunches ready for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like our video, and we'll see you next time we cook. Bye.